My favorite teacher is Mr. Richards because he just really tells us straight out what's going to happen in life and how we need, to do stuff to succeed. He's really everyone's friend. Doesn't really, chop stuff up. He's just a fun guy all the way around.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Wilson because even though he seems very hard and stern, he's actually a giant goofball and he's very sweet.
Why?
Mrs. Hines is my favorite teacher because she's so great and she always believes in me. Even when I'm late sometimes, she still believes that I can get here on time when I can't now.
Mr. Bradley, I like his teaching style and he's really funny and it's just an enjoyable class.
Mr. Cordia is my favorite teacher because he's really good with students and his team that he coaches, like swim or water polo, and he's really helpful for kids who need help.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Herrera, and I like him because he gives us a really good basic fundamentals of music, and he actually helps us understand what needs to be done in life and also in music in general. And I also like how he's a family person, and in the classroom he's like a parent to me.
I like Miss Curley because she gives no homework.
My favorite teacher is Mrs. True because she likes me and I have a good grade in that class.
Miss Collins because she's nice and she's
funny
and she's just a good teacher. Yeah.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Fredeking because he's taught me a lot about writing and the English language that I didn't know before, and his class is really engaging.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Basie because he likes to have a fun time, but at the same time he wants to direct me in the path of where I could go to college. So he's the boy. But then also Mr. Thomas, he's a pretty good teacher as well, but I'll say Mr. Basie.
Miss Collins, and because her yearbook class is basically a second lunch for all of us. So
my favorite teacher is Mr. Richards because he does a really good job of explaining stories so that they make sense in the modern day when they were written a really long time.
I like Mr. Suarez because he really pushes us to participate in class.
So I'd like to thank Coach Junie McCullough because she literally goes the extra mile for so many of her students. She is our Teens Run Modesto coach, and she actually runs with us, and she has encouraged me and so many of my friends to run marathons and half marathons and do our best. And I'd like to thank Mr. Hawks because he helped me hate math less.
All right, guys, we're here in the C wing. My favorite teacher is Miss Collins. Sure. I also agree. I like Miss Collins a lot, but I like Mr. Suarez because he's a great dad.
Mr. Hawks because he let us cook pork chops.
Staff member here at Bayer that I would say is probably the most impressive to me would be Mr. Chan. He's been teaching for over 50 years, and I mean, you imagine that he opened Bayer High School and is still here, and Bayer High is now 45 years old. And to consider the fact that he's still relevant to the students and still has a great rapport with them, he's not outdated in any way. To me, it's very impressive. Stick with a job that long, particularly education, which goes through so many transitions and changes over the years. The advent of technology, all the things that have come about since the early 1970s until now, and to see that he still enjoys what he does, actually loses money, because if he was to retire, he would make more than he does as a salaried teacher. Shows that not only does he love the profession, but that it's impressive.
Here and why? Alright, I actually kind of have two favorite teachers. They're kind of tied between each other, mainly because of their personalities. That would be Mrs. Freeman and Mr. Thomas. Mr. Thomas who teaches photography. He tends to, he's really chilled back. He lets us take pictures of whatever we want, and rather than just giving us a grade depending on what we got, he lets us know ahead of time or after we turn it in. He gives us a chance to return in a project on what could have been done better, what sucked about the photo, and a different perspective of how we could have taken the shot in the first place. And Ms. Freeman, like I said, really chill. She when there's always that smart ass in the class, she adapts. She laughs with us a lot of the time. A lot of her lessons, while they can be, like if any other teacher did it, I would be bored out of my mind, but then I'm always paying attention to what she has to say, and that's really fun. So, yeah, both Ms. Freeman and Mr. Thomas. Okay, thank you.
My favorite teacher is Mr. B because he is super funny and He really cares about his kids and he makes the class really fun.
My favorite teacher is probably Mr. Bradley because half the time in class we don't actually do anything we're supposed to.
My favorite teacher would definitely be Dr. Lazo because, I mean, she loves math and I love math, so it's a perfect fit.
Okay, so who's your favorite teacher and why?
My favorite teacher is Mr. Wolf, and probably because he's like super chill and he teaches us a lot of life lessons.
Teacher is Mr. Wolf because he's always pushing me to do my best, and he's just made my freshman year an incredible experience, and I really thank him for that.
Mr. Richards because he's such a cool dude.
My favorite teacher is Dr. Lazo. She is sweet, caring, and compassionate. She loves what she does, and I appreciate that. She gave me a newfound love for math. Thank you, Dr.
My
Lazo.
teacher's Mrs. Curley because she's kind and nice, and she's a really funny person in general, and she loves everyone.
My favorite teacher is Miss Curley because we don't only use textbooks, we go to the farm too.
Miss McCoy because she just has so much passion for what she does, and it makes me excited to learn about government, and it's really cool, and I like it a lot.
And why?
My favorite teacher is Frost Sanger because she really helps us understand with what we're learning and stuff. Yeah.
My favorite teacher is Miss Harless because she's really nice and she helps me with my work.
Asha because she's awesome and nice.
My teacher is Miss Delfati because I enjoy the classroom discussions we have in his class.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Levantini is because he's sweet and funny. He keeps his classes interesting.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Levantini because he always keeps his class interesting and he loves his students.
My favorite teacher is Miss McCoy because she's really funny and she's really nice.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Munthy because being his age and still teaching is a huge accomplishment, and I'm very proud of him for sticking it out at his age. And that's about
My favorite teacher is Mr. Adelgeorge because he always gives an honest opinion and I can always go to him for advice.
My favorite teacher is for sure 100% Mr. Holmes because he always knows what he's talking about, and if you ever have a question or you need clarifying, he will always be there to give you a good answer.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Freddie Cake because he's always there with a word of advice, whether it's about English or just life in general. Even when you don't really ask for it or need it, it's there, which I really appreciate.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Thomas, Neil Thomas, Art Thomas, the one over there. He's always influencing students to be better versions of themselves, and he's a funny dude if you talk to him. And yeah, he's a good one.
Ma prof préférée est Madame Legrand parce qu'elle est toujours très joyeuse, gentille, et elle est toujours prête à donner le meilleur pour ses élèves.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Adelgeorge because he's really good at English and he knows what he's talking about and he always encourages you to get out of your own little safety bubble of reading.
Mr. Bradley's got to be my favorite teacher. We definitely have a lot of engaging conversations, especially outside of class and whenever we see each other. It's always a lot of fun talking to him, and he's definitely an interesting guy to know overall.
Mrs. True is my favorite teacher because she's helped me a lot these past 3 years and made a huge impact on my life, and I will never forget her.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Clark because he's funny and teaches math really good.
Me gusta la señora Talentino porque ella es simpática y graciosa.
My favorite teacher is Mrs. Fogarty because she made AP Human Geography really fun and interesting.
Mrs. Gill is my favorite staff member because she is always so positive and she always makes me smile.
Miss Collins is my favorite teacher because she's like a second mom to me and she always supports me no matter what I do.